Okay, so it's what I would call the ass crack of dawn. It is 7:15 in the morning, 7:17 in the morning, and it's late November, and it's Sunday, which is extra weird. But I woke up and I have to go to work today, so I mean, I'm choosing to go to work today. So that means that this is the time that I spend outside. You can tell that Donald Trump be damned, I do not rake my leaves, and yet I'm somehow unconcerned about forest fires since it rains every 5 minutes here. Yeah, so what am I doing? As part of my study and interest in Druidry, I am reading an introductory book about it. And of course, like the first thing that anybody suggests, logically enough, is to spend more time in nature. I don't live especially close to any parks, at least not close enough to go every day. So I start by going around and taking a walk in my neighborhood and just looking at the trees. I'm starting to learn how to identify trees. Not very good at it yet, but I can tell that this is kind of an ash tree, probably a white or green ash. And that is, oh, I think, yeah, that's a sweet gum tree. I can tell because it's got little gumballs on it. This is a thicket, so this microclimate that I'm in right now has a lot of underbrush, a lot of vines, a lot of ash trees, oak trees, holly trees, sweet gum trees, some maples, lots of pines, way more deciduous trees than I thought. This is some kind, I think this is like a mountain laurel. Still identifying, but most of the ones like this have some little dark colored berries that are suggestive of that. Don't know what that guy is. I'm going to have to find out. I think that's a mulberry for starting. And I do live, so I'm in North Georgia. I mean, not North Georgia, but in the Atlanta area. And so the climate is pretty temperate. Some would say subtropical. Rains a fair amount. I do live, as you see, really close to a creek. So there's some flowing water. Makes a really nice noise. And it's pretty warm hot in the summer with mild wet winters. That is a rose bush. And we do have a fair number of invasive species, largely from Asia. See if I can find an example. Oh yeah, look at all that underbrush. Like mimosas, well, kudzu is a major one. This tulip poplar, just a baby. Not sure what that is, but I'll find out. I think we have more mulberry vines here. There is a continuation of the creek. Also mimosa trees. We have mimosa trees. There's one through the brush there. That is an import from Asia, and it's considered an invasive species. Roses do grow wild here sometimes. And then we have the wild TV monitor. So part of what they suggest, logically enough, that is redbud. That'll be pretty in the springtime. Right now it doesn't look like a whole lot, but I can tell by the heart-shaped leaf. Plus it's not very tall. Yeah, so one of the things that they suggest, logically enough, is that as you're going around, you know, take a bag with you to collect trash. Try to leave the place a little better than you found it. This guy with all of that ivy on it, or kudzu on it, and I'm still learning the difference between how kudzu and ivy look. Because to me it just sort of all looks like a big vine that chokes trees. It's a sweet gum. Dogwoods, very common, planted both ornamentally and they are native to Georgia, so we do see them out in the woods. It's so early, and I'm so not a morning person that I don't necessarily have the best train of thought this morning, but I think what I was trying to explain was I do go out in the mornings, or I'm tending to go out in the mornings because it's so close to the solstice that I don't think anybody even lives in this house. Crepe myrtles, often also planted ornamentally. They are considered an invasive species, though. It gets dark so early that if I'm going to work, then by the time I get home, it's already pitch black. First of all, I don't have a good flashlight. Okay, so that guy is a Bradford pear. Bradford pears are introduced ornamentally, and they are ornamental. I mean, they have pretty white flowers in the spring, but they are really aggressive, and they've taken over and become sort of a problematic species. That is a not wild rosebush. They've become problematic for native species here, as a lot of things have. This guy is, in fact, a maple. Two maples right there, silverleaf maples, I believe. You can see leaves on the ground. Anyway, one of my early projects was learning to tell the difference between a maple tree and a sweet gum tree. Which seems obvious, but the leaves do look kind of similar. Pro tip: the sweet gum trees have sweet gum balls on them. And they have slightly, you know, there are small differences, but yeah, that's a major one. Anyway, so the pear trees, people started off planting them, and also kind of thought that they would have maybe viable fruit for, you know, wildlife critters. Turns out they have little tiny, not edible fruit, and they have taken over. And they're not necessarily nice about it. Okay, so this big tree, this is a huge oak tree. I call him Grandpa because he's so big and his boughs are kind of bent. So I think that he's pretty old. Plus he has a couple of, oh yeah, there's another ornamental that's become invasive. There's a lot of them. He's got, I don't know if you can see, the light is not very good, but he's got a couple of boughs that are really big but have broken. There is a piece of one right there. He just dropped that piece of bark right there, and he is covered in English ivy, which is another one of those things. But he has this nice little limb here, so you can see his leaves pretty well. He's a white oak. I don't know the exact variety. He's not a live oak. Those have smaller leaves. They're more oblong. They don't have lobes like that. But anyway, he has this nice branch so I can shake hands with him. Good morning, Grandpa. So it's good. This is another, this is an actual maple, not sweet gum that I'm confused about being a maple. No, it's really a maple. Few squirrels, not too much wildlife this part of the morning. Magnolia grandiflora. These are really common. They're native to Georgia. There we go. They're really common. They're everywhere. They're really beautiful, actually. Massive white flowers, and in the fall they have cones with red berries in them. And they're evergreen, even though they have those huge leaves. So they're actually really nice ornamental trees, and they're native, so they're not, destructive in the way that some things are. Pines. Yucca plants. Recent gubernatorial election. We won't talk about that. So yeah, I'm not really trying to, exercise. And this is an example of why it's good to take a bag around. I don't happen to have something with me right now. Good to take a bag around and clean up. That's a close-up of a little mimosa tree, which I'm kind of bummed that they are invasive because they're really pretty. They have like little puffy pink flowers in the springtime. It's a beautiful baby red oak. So in all of this, I noticed that I had not ever paid attention to the trees. That's why I'm not so good at identifying as yet. Oh, baby maple, huge leaves. I seem to be really fascinated when they have big leaves. I don't know. Because I never paid attention. My family is not outdoorsy. I've always liked the outside. I've been interested in biology and studied that in high school. But, it just wasn't part of our regular dynamic, so it's something that I'm having to learn myself. The occasional pelting is from acorns. Here's another big oak tree. I learned yesterday that Georgia has 35 native species of oak trees. We haven't seen any hollies yet, but those are also really common. That is also not native, but kind of cool. Monkey grass. I don't know if it's native or not, but it's really common. It's all over my backyard. Where was I going with this? I don't know what you are, but you're pretty. Anyway, so this is not something that I ever did. Really, I have gone on nature hikes. There's another pear. There's another magnolia. Kind of bumps me out when I see pieces cut out of trees because of power lines. These are, there's pieces of oak with really small leaves. That is more of the live oak style, although I don't think those are live oaks. Maybe willow oaks. They have a eucalyptus tree, which is cool. Also a common ornamental tree. These little Japanese maples may or may not be, well, things girly, I don't know what that means. May or may not be actual maples, I'm not sure, but they're very pretty in the fall as they all turn that vibrant red color. This is big old tulip poplar, which I have recently learned is not actually a poplar. It's actually related to mimosa, to magnolia trees. It's not one of those either. This one has a lot of birds' nests up in the top. The dogwood out in front of it. It has massive leaves that are shaped like that. So, even though I'm like old now, I'm 42, you never stop learning, and it's taken me this long to just kind of figure out where my spiritual inclinations lie, and that means that there's a lot of catching up to do. I think this is cool. This is a person who's done some gardening in their front yard, which we don't do enough of here in the United States. But, you know, it's late November and the season for gardening is over. This is a honeysuckle vine. Those are everywhere. Definitely native. So anyway, that's what I've taken to starting to do, is walk around my neighborhood early in the morning, because that's when I have daylight, and observing the trees and the plants and trying to learn about them. That is a mimosa that's got lots of pods on it. That's how they do. And again, they're often planted ornamentally because they're pretty and their flowers smell really good too. I'm hoping that in the near future I'll get a chance to actually go to a proper park and, you know, like do some real hiking or some real, like, in the woods walking around. I don't think I could ever call it actually like hiking. But I'm coming down here. We have several varieties of pine tree, and I'm not sure that I can tell you the difference right now, but that one's got a lot of cones and they're really small. Here we have a nice, pretty yellow, pretty maple and big yellow leaves. And we're coming down to this dead end, which is where the creek goes. I'm learning a lot. I mean, I've only been really doing this for a few weeks. And I can't say that it's the easiest thing in the world to get up early, but it's worth it, as you can see, because this area is basically forest. We got houses, but it's like, it's a forest. And it needs to be appreciated and conserved. So way back in there, way back in all of that underbrush, hello, what are you? Is the creek. You can kind of hear it. Little water plants. And so I've set a goal of mimosa. I've set a goal of walking for 20 minutes a day. I've taken you along for 18 of those minutes. Thank you for accompanying me. There's a sycamore. We don't have too many of those, but we have some huge leaves. Anyway, thank you for coming along, and I wish you blessings. Bye.